Right, this is a painting of Kimmeridge Bay that I did earlier this year, and it shows maple ledge that goes across the bay and is exposed at low tide. In fact, all the ledges tend to be exposed at low tide. And this is the finished piece, and I have just sold this piece. It hasn't even been exhibited yet, so that's very exciting. But it does mean that I will be heading down to Kimmeridge again very soon, and I will be beginning again with the drawings and preparing a new painting. Not sure what it will look like because it depends to a certain extent on the height of the tides, the weather on the day, and it probably, if it's anything like today, won't necessarily be blue and sunny, but then I can play with whatever colours I like. But we'll have a look as we go through and see how it comes out. I think it's really important and inspirational to start the process by sitting within the landscape, seeing the geology, seeing the geography, seeing the topography, and actually translating it into my pictures. I want to celebrate what I'm seeing, and actually being there puts me in touch with it, and it is so essential to making the picture. So I'm going to paint a familiar view. I'm going to sit myself down at the head of Maple Ledge. It's a very familiar view to me, and it just creates this wonderful composition. The arc of the ledge as it flows across the bay, leading across to the tower itself. And it's just such a splendid, special place to be. So sitting there and taking a careful sketch is really going to put this into my memory. So once I've come back with sketches and I'm happy with the information that I've gathered out in the field, I then come back and I decide what size canvas, and then I actually prime it with raw umber and I draw out in charcoal. And the reason I use raw umber as an under prime is that once I start putting the colour on, which you'll see later, it really sings straight out to me, and I do love colour. You can see most of the paintings are out for an exhibition, but I love the use of colour. So it's a very good start, and the actual composition is vital because once I've done the drawing, that's the way it's going to stay through the picture and the creation of the image. So there's very little leeway. I've sort of got to get the composition right. If that isn't right in the first place, it isn't actually going to work. So I'm quite happy with the way it's sitting on the page here, and I'm transferring it as accurately as I can and what I can remember of it. So I know the angles of the slopes, and although I haven't got colour on, I do, for the most part, I'm very aware of the colours that were there, because when I've sat down to actually draw from the beach, because I'm careful in the drawing, I'm actually looking so carefully at the subject, so I can look at that and I'm straight back sitting on the beach. I do actually take photos nowadays because I've always got my phone on me, like we all have. So if I get stuck, I can always reference them, but really I very rarely need to, because I know that as I'm sketching here, I've got all the darker greens of the trees, I've got actually on that day there was no reflection of the tower in the bay, partly because there was just a light breeze that rippled the surface and did away with all of that. So all those images are there in my head. which is why I always go out, or like to go out, to do new drawings before I start a new painting. The sky, for instance, I know perfectly well that it was a beautiful blue sunny day, and we've got just a waft of lighter cloud, almost not seen across there. And so that's basically what I'm doing. I think this is the part I love the best, because the colours are truly themselves. You see what I mean about laying the colours down next to each other, and it's harder to see on the palette as you're mixing, but then you lie it on the painting itself. Oh, mouth-watering that. So I've been lucky enough to be given a residency here for this year, and it's given me access to the collection, and I can draw and paint whatever I like, really. And it has inspired me to do new types of painting. I've been down in the bay with Steve and found lots and lots of ammonites, and it's really exciting to actually draw and paint the ammonites in situ. And around the collection, it's quite difficult to decide where to start and what to do, but there is so much. There is a wealth of inspiring material here that will just be able to help me create new artwork. Having had the opportunity for the artist residency, I now have been invited back, particularly because of COVID, to actually exhibit throughout the summer. Here we have the completed exhibition. I'm absolutely delighted because I have plenty of pictures of Kimmeridge itself, and I've managed to complete some paintings of the fossils, both those that I found when I was down in the bay with Steve on one of his trips, but also, of course, the different images of Kimmeridge I've managed to find, draw and paint during this year. So here we have the finished painting framed up and part of this exhibition. So I'm really delighted that it can go on show and that it's in its home, as it were, here at Kimmeridge itself.